Welcome back, everybody, to the Slots 101 show here on the Cowboy Slot channel. We're your hosts, Brantley and Mark. Welcome, everybody, to the show today. We're here to answer your questions. So go ahead, start lining those questions up, and we will dive right into those. Big thank you to our moderators out there, Tammy, Susan, and Dave. We really appreciate all that you guys do. I cannot talk today. Everything that you guys do. So thank you very, very much for that. Also, guys, if you're not aware, we did just get some new products in our store. Really, really fun. These are little stress balls that are shaped like cowboy hats and have our
I
name
love
on it.
them.
Those are available in the store right now. You can go and get those. Those are shipping out immediately. And also, we are almost sold out of our green and lavender poker chips. So if you have not gotten those green or lavender poker chips, head on over to the store and grab those. And all of the product sales do go to help out the channel, and it's really cool and fun swag. So go and check those out at the website ropethejackpot.com. Also, guys, on that website, ropethejackpot.com, you can ask your questions 24/7, talk to locals in your area, find those slot machines, and do so much more, all at that website. 100% free. You never have to pay anything. Again, the website is ropethejackpot.com. All right, guys. So we do have quite a lot of you in here already today. This is awesome. Already about almost 150 of you, and we just opened the show. So it's going to be a busy show today. We will get through as many of the questions that we possibly can. Just as a reminder, we can't answer everybody's question just because of the volume of questions that we do get, which is why we have our website, which is ropethejackpot.com, where you guys can ask your questions 24/7. So if we do happen to miss your question, don't worry, you can always head over to that website and ask that question. So we're going to dive right into it. But first, Mark, how have you been?
I've been doing really well. Pretty slow week, and glad to be here with all you guys tonight. So hopefully we get some good questions in. And guys, again, feel free to ask whatever you want. This is the Slots 101, so we will answer repeated questions sometimes. But we are going to be always looking for newer questions or ones that we haven't answered in a while, just to try to help you guys out. And I already see you guys are sharing a lot of stuff in here about recent visits. Some of you guys are winning, some are not winning. Autumn lost it all and ate a cinnamon roll. I guess that's one way to get to dry your tears on the way out of the casino, is to get a cinnamon roll. I could say I've at least done that in the Vegas airport on the way out. So whatever it takes to kind of ease the pain. So good evening to everybody, and I guess we'll go ahead and jump into some questions here. And I'll start with Randy Bits. So, do the new electronic roulette machines have the same odds as the actual table game? Or is it like a slot machine and has a payout percentage like 85%? So, we've mentioned this many times on the channel, but the one thing you got to remember about electronic versions of table games is that the actual process of how those play out, such as roulette being the ball being spun around the wheel, in blackjack, the cards being shuffled. In those instances, that has to be completely random. No payback percentage can alter where that ball is going to land. Okay? So every time that ball is spinning around that roulette wheel, it is 100% random. There is no payback percentage to manipulate it. But where the payback percentage comes into place is what the payouts are to you, the player. We did a video a couple of weeks ago when I was in Aria and I spotted a roulette machine that probably had a lower than normal payback percentage because the odds of paying straight up, instead of being 35-1, which is what it is on the table game, it was 32-1. So they can alter the amount of payback to you, and that is where the payback percentage can make a difference. On blackjack, this is very notorious. They will limit what you're able to do. Basically all those different things that you can encounter inside of a blackjack game that increases your odds on a table game might be disabled. You may not be able to split at all. We saw one at WinStar where there was no option to split at all. It was disabled. Maybe you're only able to double down on a 10 or 11, those types of things. So that is how they limit it. So it can be controlled with the payback percentage, but it's only what alters the payback to you instead of the actual randomness of the ball or the cards being shuffled. So I hope that helps, Randy, to clear that up for you. Good question.
Very good question. All right, moving right along to Alan's question here. What is the volatility level on double black tie, double blackjack, double red, white, blue slot machine? All right, so Guys, we've said this. We've said this a couple times. We do have an episode about volatility. It is in our video library. The best thing that we can tell you about volatility, you guys can determine the volatility of your own slot machine in front of you. All you have to do is look at the pay table. Ask those simple questions. Does it have a bonus round? Does it have a lot of bonus rounds? Does it have a lot of different lines? All of these other things. The more you answer yes to those questions, the higher the volatility is going to be. So a basic game like double black tie, it's going to be low in volatility. Again, all you guys really have to do is just look at that pay table, and then you can really be able to tell from that. So we would love to be able to give you guys the volatility of every single slot machine, but that is millions and millions of games. There's a lot of slot machines out there, guys. There's a lot of variations of slot machines. So whenever you're sitting in front of a slot machine, you have the ability to determine its volatility just by looking at it. You just have to look at the pay table and look at the game rules. The more it has going on, the higher the volatility is going to be. If it's simple and straightforward, it's going to be lower in volatility. So, but very good question, Alan. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
All right. And Craig Strang says, how do I know if a slot has better odds of hitting a bonus if you can choose a higher denomination versus a lower denomination? Number one, you'll never know when a slot machine is going to hit a bonus. There's just no way to tell, unfortunately. Some have more frequency of bonus hits than others. The only way you can really tell is by watching the game. We have recommend that you watch it on YouTube first if you can, to kind of get a good feel on how frequent that bonus comes out. On other games, we have some information as to how frequent the bonuses come out, like with Pinball, 1 in 64, and some of the versions of Top Dollar are anywhere from 1 in 38 up to 1 in 60. But it's not really based on higher or lower denomination on how frequent the bonus game is going to come up. That is going to be entirely random. Again, try not to chase bonuses. That's can really lead you into trouble, especially those higher volatile games where the bonus is definitely infrequent. You will get into this mode where you start to chase those bonuses, and it's just not a smart idea. So don't try to think of it as what are the better odds of hitting a bonus. It really comes down to the game type that determines how frequent the bonus is going to be. So hope that helps you, Craig. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Lynn asks, how can you tell if a slot machine is hit by or pay by? It will be listed somewhere on the machine. Normally, it is listed very clear and concise if it is a must hit by or must win by, must pay by. It will say that right on the machine. It'll say that under the progressive. So if you have a progressive meter up there, it'll usually say it right below that, like must hit by 10,000, must win by, something like that. If it doesn't say it on the screen, check the game rules, but it does have to be listed on the machine. So not all progressives are must hit buys. In fact, majority of progressives are not must hit by progressives. If it is a must hit by progressive, it will be clearly labeled as such. So very, very good question. Thank you very much, and best of luck to you. I'll take another question here from Derek. How do slot manufacturers determine the grand prize? So this is something that it's all done by the math, and it goes by the denomination, the bet amounts, all of that. And typically speaking, this is something where there's a recommended starting point. The casinos can choose to adjust that higher or lower, but usually with newer machines, especially leased machines, like if we're talking about the Dragon Link, Lightning Link, it usually has to do with the denomination and the bet amounts, and that's something that the manufacturer will usually put in about what is the recommended starting point on that. Very good question.
All right, and Brian Bailey says, I've seen some interesting strategies for playing high volatility slots. Are there any strategies that you guys would recommend? Yes, absolutely. So even though we always recommend the lower volatility slots, it is still quite okay to play the high volatility slots. In fact, we do from time to time just because we like playing something different. Guys, I know it seems like we play top dollar and pinball all the time. But that's not the case. It's just what we enjoy the most, and that's what we end up filming the most, is because that's what we're playing. But we do dabble around in a lot of other different slot machines. But the thing is, and this is what your question is leading into, is we know what to expect sitting down. I recently sat down at a Huff and More Puff. I decided before I sat down, I'm going to put 200 in here, and I am not going to chase it. If I don't get the bonus within that first 200, I'm getting up and walking off. And that's what happened. I didn't get the bonus. A lot of people would just keep feeding it and feeding it, thinking I've got to get that bonus to try to recover these losses. And that's what high volatility will do to you. You are going to have to suffer through potentially a very large event of nothing, or less than your bet back, or no bonus rounds, those types of things. And so as long as you understand that, it is quite okay to play a high volatility machine. So here's what I would recommend, is to sit down and either decide bankroll how much money you want to put through it or how many spins you want to do. And do not change your mind. On high volatility games, do not change your mind. After you reach that goal, get up and walk off. It's going to be very difficult to do that because they are designed to keep drawing you in, getting 2 buzzsaws constantly on Huff and More Puff, for example. They are built that way. And so you have to be strong to decide, I'm going to do 20 spins on this and that's it. I'm just going to push my luck a little bit, see if it happens. If it does, awesome. You have conquered a high volatility game. If it doesn't, leave, please leave, and go play a low volatility and build that bankroll back up, and then maybe try it again later. So that would be my strategy. I think Brantley would probably say exactly the same, but that's how we would approach a high volatility game. So good question, Brian.
Absolutely. Very good question. And yes, I would approach it the exact same way. Really quick, guys, we have over 330 of you in the chat right now, which is incredibly awesome. We will get through the questions the best we can. We do try to get to everybody's question, but again, with the volume of questions coming in, it's just not possible to get to everybody's question. Be sure to stick around because we'll probably answer your question. It just takes us a little while to get through all of those. And if we don't answer your question, you can always ask it on our website 24/7 at ropethejackpot.com/chat. But yes, please do stick around and just bear with us while we try to get through these questions best we can. All right, Gizmo, is it better to play older slots than to play newer slots? Here's the thing. Majority of the slot machines coming out now are going to be more on the higher volatile side. However, there are a lot of games coming out that are brand new that are also pretty low in volatility or remakes of classics. Whether it's older or newer is really a personal preference of yours. Some people like the nostalgia of the older games. Some people like the new flash and features of the newer games. It really is game specific rather than age specific. So it depends on really what you're wanting to play, so to speak. But there's a lot of classic games that are being remade into new cabinets that are, the math is the exact same as the older game. It's just in a brand new style. So again, it would be very, very game specific on that. Thank you very much for your question. And then I'll take this one here from B. Jones. Are there different RNGs on the same machine or for different denomination bets? So RNG, no. Pay table, yes. So again, each denomination is programmed independently. It's programmed separately. The RNG, again, the RNG is just the picking mechanism, and it's picking off of the pay table. Each denomination is going to have its own pay table that it picks from. So when you change denominations, the RNG itself doesn't change. The RNG is still just the mechanism, but the pay table in which the RNG chooses from, that's what changes. So very good question. Thank you for that.
All right, and RJ says, going to Mount Airy Casino tomorrow. Tell my lady why not to feed the dragons. Well, I kind of just did on that last question. If she wants to play the dragons, that's fine. But give her a very small bankroll. So if you're going in with $500 or $600, give her $50 and say, go play your dragons. And then when you lose money, don't come back for more. I'm going to make you go play something else. Here's the thing with the dragons, guys. Yeah, it's kind of a joke. It's kind of a, a hashtag stuff that we do here. But the reasoning behind it is that most games that feature a dragon are high in volatility. It's just the way it is. And so until they come out with a slot machine that has a dragon on it that plays like double diamond, we're going to keep saying that. It's just something that's easy to remember, right? So it's just, if she wants to play it, you can't fight with her. But honestly, you're going to have a much better time if you stick to the games that are not that until you're up. If she wants to push her luck later on, that's fine. But don't start with those games because your bankroll can go very, very quickly. And we don't want to see that happen, especially when you first get to the casino. That's the worst thing in the world, is to get in there and lose your money within 5 minutes. Then what are you going to do, right? We want to make it last as long as possible. So, all right, and I'll take one more here, Brantley. And Louis G says, when a machine needs to pay, is there more favorable pools in the RNG? So what you just said is not correct. when a machine needs to pay. Machines do not need to pay. That's not how they work. They don't look back and say what has happened. I've taken in way too much cash today. I need to rebalance, so I need to start allowing people to win now. That's not how they work. That's what the RNG is for. The random number generator is there to make it random. What it's picking from is random. It doesn't matter what has happened, the previous spin, previous 100 spins, anything like that. It's all math. At the end of the day, it is all math. That's how it works out. The RNG picks from a certain set of symbols, ends up being the payback percentage after 10 million pulls. That's it. That's how they work. So there's nothing you can do to look for a machine and say, I think this is more favorable because I just saw somebody put $2,000 through this machine and they never got a bonus. So it's got to start paying now. You got to convince yourself that that is not how they work. They are random by nature. They have to be. Regulations, there's a lot of regulations surrounding it to make sure that they're random and they stay that way. That's how they're built. So I hope that helps a little bit with your question there, Louis. But yeah, just have fun. Sit down and press the button and hope for the best. That's all you can really do.
All right, very good. All right, question here from Craig. Can volatility change in a cabinet by picking one of 4 choices of games? Good question. So again, volatility is very game specific. So if there is a cabinet, again, you know, there's a lot of cabinets out there like the Wonder 4 where you can pick 4 different games to play at the exact same time. Obviously, each one of those games is going to play out independently. They don't work together or coincide with each other. They each have their own pay tables that they pick from. The volatility is really going to depend on what kind of game you pick, because again, there's, you know, there could be all kinds of different games on there. If you have a choice of, you know, a traditional regular Buffalo, that's going to be lower in volatility than if you picked, you know, Buffalo, you know, gold or something like that. So again, volatility is very, very game specific. So it's going to depend heavily on what kinds of games that you pick there. But can volatility never changes. It's just based on whatever game that you're picking. So I hope that kind of helps to answer your question on that. And Kim asks, do you mess up the chances of a bonus when you stop the reels? No. So each of the spins is going to be independent at all times. Like as soon as you hit the spin button, the computer already knows where those reels are going to stop. And this is one of those big things that we try to stress too. The reels spinning is the after effect of everything that's already been done. So the computer already knows exactly where those reels are going to stop as soon as you hit that button. So stopping them early does not do anything for the game whatsoever. And I'll take another really quick rumor here from Brian. Is it true turning your volume up gets you better odds? No, that is false. Again, that was started as a joke and people ran away with it, but that is 100% false.
All right, it looks like I opened up the can of worms I knew I would, so we'll tackle this here. So Mike Hill says, how is it all math but also random? That doesn't make sense. So I'm going to link to a video that you can watch afterwards that we kind of went into detail about exactly this, but I'll try to explain it real quickly here. So there are 2 components to a slot machine spin. Whenever you press the spin button, 2 things happen. The first thing is there's a random number generator that is constantly going. They're going behind me here. They're going in Brantley's room. They're just constantly going. Whenever you hit the spin button, it stops and it throws out a number. Okay, that number is recorded down. Whatever, let's say the last 4 digits are 4065, okay? And then it goes to what is called a lookup table or a virtual reel set. This is on the par sheets. That's how we know this is how this works. A par sheet is an explanation of how slot machines work and how they're supposed to play out over the long term. So the random number generator picks from a certain set of symbols. Think of the virtual table as just like a regular strip, like a regular, you know, with 7, a double bar, a single bar, a cherry, a double diamond, etc. Think about that, but think about it being hundreds of lines long. There will be blanks in there. There will be single bars. There will be 7 bars, 7s, etc., all in these virtual strips. And so the random number generator picks from something on that strip. And how it's math is that they can tell based on what they put on those strips, and they run through simulations, and there's a random number generator for each of those strips. So they run through a simulation of 10 million pulls, and they see what the payout's going to be. And if it falls within the payback percentage that's the target, great. They don't need to make any changes. But if it's too high or too low, then they need to alter those virtual tables. So they may take out a blank and put a single bar in, or they may take out a single bar and put a double bar in, something to just get it to equate to that payback percentage over 10 million pulls. And they run many simulations to make sure this always happens. And they usually go within about a 90% confidence range, which means after they are 90% confident that every time the simulation runs, it's going to end up with that payback percentage. Here's how I kind of equate that to a real life. We talk about flipping the coin. We know that flipping a coin is 50% heads, 50% tails, right? Well, if you do it, say 7 times, or you do it 10 times, you might end up with 7 heads and 3 tails. Well, wait a minute. I thought it was supposed to be 50%. That was 70%. What gives? Well, if you do it long enough, if you do another set of 10 and another set of 10 and another set of 10, eventually it's going to get down to that 50%. So the randomness is that you don't know when you flip the coin whether it's going to be heads or tails. But the programming and the math is that it has to be either heads or tails. So that is how both of those work together. And a slot machine is the same way. There's a randomness aspect, which means that nobody can control. No person, no casino, no manufacturer, no central server, none of that kind of stuff can control the random aspect of that button push that you do. Nobody knows what's going to happen there. But what they can do is decide what it picks from, and that is where the payback percentage comes in. So every payback percentage has a different virtual real set. So anyway, go watch that video. I tried to do it with a lot of examples so you can break it down and understand, and even show you the par sheet so you understand where I'm getting this information from. So hopefully that helps you out. I knew I would open up that can of worms, but it's a good question. Like, it really is. That's probably one of the most common things we hear is like, wait a minute, how can it be random but also programmed at the same time? Well, there you go. That's how they do it. So I hope that helps you out a little bit. Thank you so much for your question.
Very good. And thank you, Mark. We do have a $5 super chat here from Lisa. Lisa, thank you very much for that. Super chats and super stickers are greatly helpful to the channel, guys. Also, really quick, because we do have about 517 of you in here right now. Another really great way to help the channel is by our fun swag that we have available. And we just got a new product in our store, this little stress ball hat, which is great. If you want to play those high volatile games, you can take it with you. And then also, as a reminder, guys, we are almost completely sold out of our new green and lavender poker chips, so you can get those available on our website at ropethejackpot.com. That would be really, really helpful, and they are really, really super fun and cool. So thank you very much for that super chat. We really do appreciate it. All right, moving on through some questions. And just as a reminder, we will get through as many questions as possible, but it is not possible for us to answer every single person's question just because of the volume that we get. So we do have our website available for you guys to use at any point. So if we don't answer your question, not to worry, the website is there for you. And we really, really, we appreciate each and every one of your questions. We'll try to get through as many of them as we can. Skip has a question here. Great show. Are VGT slots the same as VLT slots? Are they both bingo slots? Why do racinos have no video poker machines? So, good question. So, VGT is a separate company. VGT is their own company. VLT stands for Video Lottery Terminals. So, Video Lottery Terminals, they run on a lottery system. So, essentially, when you are playing a VLT, you're playing the lottery. You're just essentially getting a digital version of a scratch-off ticket every single time you push that button, and those work entirely separate. VGT, those are those common red screens that people see at like the bingo facilities and stuff like that. Those are bingo-based machines, but VLTs are not. They're based on the lottery system. Racinos and video poker, it really all depends on what kind you are at. There are some racetracks that do have class 3 gaming. There are some that have class 2. There are some that have VLT. There's a lot of different styles out there, so it really just depends on what exact property that you are at. So I hope that helps to answer your question on that. Thank you very much for that question.
All right. And Michael says, on video poker, if there are 5, 10, and 25-cent denominations, will the poker hands be the same on each denomination? The poker hands themselves, yes. But the payback percentage could be set differently on each of those denominations. And with video poker, the way that you tell is to look at what, in most cases, what the full house ends up paying you credit-wise. So if you go and flip between those, if you see that the full house is paying you more on a 25 cent, that means that the payback percentage is higher. Video poker is one of the very few games where you can actually gauge what the payback percentage is based on those payout tables, like what is actually on the screen above. And if you really want to find out, there's a, I can't remember the name of the website. Do you know, Brantley? Do you remember what it was called? It's a website where
That I'm not
people
sure.
socially they basically go out and they scout all the video poker machines and tell you what the pay tables are for each of the different games. Probably just do a Google search for it, and if I find it for the end of the show, I'll let you guys know. But that's a good way to kind of see where the highest paying machines are. So yeah, in that scenario, number one, stick with your budget. That's always number one. But number two, look to see if there's actually any difference between 5, 10, and 25 cent. There probably is not going to be a difference because it's just not a big enough, swing in denomination. But you never know. That's a way to tell. Good question, Mike.
Very good. We do have a super chat here from Melinda, 9.99 super chat. Melinda, thank you very much for that. Heading to Choctaw and Durant, Oklahoma next weekend. Do either of you have any favorite slots at that casino? Now, I personally have never been, Melinda, but I know Mark is fairly close to there, so I will let Mark answer this one. Mark, do you have any favorite slots there?
Well, I've been there once, and we were only there for about an hour or two, and I didn't go around the entire casino because it's very big. But I did not see at the time any of the ones that we typically talk about, but I have heard that they are there, and I think we're going to try to make a run up there next month, maybe, if we have time. So I'll definitely scout that out. And or let us know, Melinda, if you're going up there next weekend. Let us know what you find. Make sure you walk the entire casino floor. It's going to take a while. It's a very big casino, but let us know if they have any of those ones we talk about. I know they have a top dollar premium there, but stay away from that one. That's not a good one to play. Don't be drawn in by it.
Very good. And thank you once again, Melinda, for that super chat. We really do appreciate it. All right. Jag Wolf has a question. Is it true that if you hit the max bet as opposed to lower bets, which aren't hitting, it will wake up the machine? Seems like they hit shortly after changing the bet to max. No, that is not true. So the only time that you're going to have a difference in play is obviously by switching denomination, and that's simply just based on the fact that each denomination is programmed separately. Bet amounts, no. Changing your bet amount, you're not going to wake up a machine. It's not going to play differently or anything like that. You can't warm up a slot machine or anything of that nature. So there is no waking up to a machine. The only thing that I would say is on some machines, like for example Farmville, and then also Legend of the Phoenix as well, is go through your different bet amounts and look, because sometimes those bet amounts can change the either the number of free spins or something that you get. Mark, you had the Phoenix game. Do you want to kind of explain a little bit on that one? And this is not this way with all games, guys. Just there's a couple of them, and this is where it's important to really read the game rules.
Yeah, that's what Brantley just said there is probably the most important thing you can do is to read the game rules. Every single one of them is different, and they're becoming a little bit more confusing. Max bet used to be just the best thing to do all the time, but that is not the case anymore. He was mentioning the Phoenix free games. Each of the different bet levels has different progressive free game amounts. So it behooves you to go through and look at each of those different bet increments to find out which one has the highest free game amounts, because that's the one you would probably want to play. But yeah, read the game rules, understand what you are missing out on or potentially getting by betting max bet. In a lot of cases, we still recommend you do that, but you don't always have to. Sometimes there's absolutely no benefit to doing so. Thunder Cash and Ainsworth Machines is a good example of that. You do not have to bet max bet to get one of the progressives. You could low roll it with one single pay line and one credit if you wanted to and still get the progressive. So that's one that you do not have to play max bet. In fact, I don't think we ever play max bet on those games. We typically stick with just the one multiplier, and it's fine. So yeah, read the game rules, figure out what you're benefiting or losing out on. It's the best advice we can give you.
Very good, and thank you very much for that, Mark. $9.99 super sticker from Erwin Jackson. Thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate it. And guys, we are going to try to get through most of these questions here, so bear with us, stick with us. It might take us a little bit, but we'll get to your question. We do got about 18 or so questions backed up in the queue right now, so we'll get through them as quick as we can while providing some great answers. All right. Cowboy, should I play 25 pinball requiring 3 coins for 5 shots of pinball, is that too volatile? So pinball in general, so pinball is not the lowest volatile game by any stretch of means. But in terms of a bonus round and the way the bonus plays out, it is fairly low in volatility when you compare it to other slot machines that also have bonus rounds and of a similar bet amounts. Now, I don't know if you're specifying 25 cents or $25 in this question, but I'll just kind of answer it for both. Whether it's the three credit version or the 2 credit version, that's really 100% personal preference. Mark likes the 2 credit version. I like the 3 credit version. The distribution of the bonus is the exact same. Your odds are still the exact same of getting the bonus. The bonus doesn't increase or decrease just because you've got the 2 credit versus the 3 credit version. So that is really going to be your personal preference if you want to play the 3 credit version. And then as for volatility, it's a pretty low volatile bonus game, but it is a low volatile bonus game. It's not the lowest slot machine when it comes to volatility, but in terms of bonus rounds, it's a pretty good game to play. Thank you very much for your question, and best of luck to you.
All right, we have a couple super chats here. First, we missed this one, but Lisa, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
and
Lisa.
Don't forget, YouTube membership gives you the access to the Member Monday, which I believe we're having tomorrow. So hope to see you there, Lisa. Thank you so much. All right, a couple other super chats here real quick. John says, thanks for all the information. Heading to Vegas next week, we'll apply these strategies. Well, good luck to you. Remember, Bankroll is always our #1 strategy, but other than that, finding the right games, sticking with those low volatility games will definitely give you the better odds when you're comparing to all the other type of games that you could be playing. So best of luck out there. We hope you do really well. And Money Mike 999 super chat. Love the channel. Is the original top dollar better payback than the newer double top dollar? So when you compare the old double top dollar, like this one over here that I have, to the new one, if you're playing the single line version, the math is exactly the same. They did not change it. They told us this. They wanted to keep it the same. Now on the newer one, you may find it in 5-line or 9-line variants. The math is not the same. In fact, it's wildly different. And I have not played those enough to give you any kind of recommendation, except that I don't like them. I like the single line version. It's much more predictable. It's what I'm comfortable with. It's less volatile. The bonus is going to hit probably more frequently. Again, it's a little too soon to tell, but I think it's very important that you look for the single line version if you are going to play it in that newer cabinet. And pro tip, some of them actually allow you to change it. So I think most of them all default to 9 lines, but look down on the bet panel and there may be a change game or change theme button. Click that button and you will see a layout that will allow you to pick from 3 different ones: the single pay line, 5-line, and line. So pick that single line. Not all of them do that. The ones at WinStar allow you to do that, which is really cool. But look for that. So I hope that helps, and thanks so much for the super chat, Money Mike. Really appreciate it.
Very good. We do have another super sticker coming in from Trisha, 99-cent super sticker. Trisha, thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate it. Do have a question here that kind of goes along with that super chat that we were just talking about. Question here from Roberto. Can slot manufacturers change the volatility of a game by changing the probability distribution, i.e. how the game is programmed to play out when keeping the payback percentage the same? So this is a good question. Actually, this is a great question for our Wednesday show, which is because this is a little more technical of a question. The answer is, so what you just described, the volatility is how the game plays out. So the volatility is how that game is designed to play out. So if the manufacturer chooses to change the design, which is, what you're basically describing, then yes, it is going to change the volatility of it. We can see that in the new pinball. We compare the new pinball to the old pinball. The volatility is different on it. Why? Because they've changed the math. They've changed the way the game plays out. They've added more features to it. So if a manufacturer does change the actual design of the game, then yes, that is going to change the volatility. And again, the payback percentage is completely separate from the volatility. The volatility is how the game is built, how the game is designed. How does that game play out? The payback percentage is just when, over how many spins, how long is it's going to drag out. kind of thing. That's the main difference between those two. Thank you very much for that question. Really do appreciate it.
All right. And Jamal, I'll take two real quick here, Brantley. So Jamal says, pretty much like the slot machines that are here in Washington State casinos. Washington State's volatility slots gaming levels are absolutely way too high. Cool session. So here's the thing about Washington. There is no way you can use volatility in anything in Washington State because it is all virtual lottery terminals. And because of that, you are playing the lottery or you are playing bingo, but you are not playing a slot machine. And so unfortunately, whenever you're playing those types of games, volatility pretty much leaves the building because there is no such thing. You are just playing bingo. There is no difference between one machine or the next. They may look different. There may be different eye candy. There may be different, symbols on the reels or themes or whatever, but they are all the same. You are playing bingo or you're playing lottery, and that's it. So volatility, unfortunately, you cannot use that strategy whatsoever in any state where it's just VLTs or the bingo style class 2 machines. But still, good luck. We hear from a lot of people in Washington. Brantley and I are going to have to make our way up there at some point because we got to figure out what's going on up there because a lot of people are up there trying to gamble. All right, and Ricky Man says, I saw a double top dollar 9 line. We were just talking about that. If I have $2,000, which slot shall I play? 25, 1, 2, or 1, 2, or 5? So here's what I would do. We use the 1% rule here. So 1% of your $2,000 bankroll is $20. So I would do the $2 denomination because you have to play 10 credits to get the most out of that that type of game, the new double top dollar that is 9 line. So that's going to be $20 a spin. But because I do not like that game and I don't like the 9 line, I would actually recommend you go down even further and go down to the $1 one and play $10 a spin. Because I just don't think it's worth that extra $10 per spin. It's just not. I am not a fan of the 9 line. I think it's too difficult to hit, and the bonus rounds just are not as good. They're just not as good. So, but good luck out there, Ricky. Be careful with those.
Very good. All right. Still got a lot of questions backed up, guys. We're going to get through them as best as we possibly can. We might have to, Mark, what do you say we might do some rapid fires here?
Go for it.
Here soon. All right. So Erwin Jackson, hello, gents. Do you guys like to camp out at one machine or move around to increase your opportunities? It really depends. I will move around machines, but again, I usually tend to stick with the same machines that I like. I like my Thunder Cash, I like my pinballs, my top dollars. I tend to stick around those. I really don't venture out. I don't venture out to higher volatile games unless I absolutely have a really good bankroll built up or I'm, doing well, and then I'll move to a higher volatile game. But that's just me personally. Vegas Slot Couple has a comment. Good rule of thumb for slot volatility. The more pages in the game rules, the more volatile the game is. Typically, yes, this is a really good way to tell about volatility. And this is kind of going hand in hand with what Ricky Man says here. Is there a list of low volatile machines on your site? If yes, where? So we do not have a list of low volatile games. And this is what I'm going to go back to this question from Vegas Slot Couple, or this comment here. This is what we're always saying, guys, is you can tell the volatility of a slot machine very, very simply. All you got to do is read the game rules, look at the game, look at the pay table. The more it has, the higher the volatility is going to be. The less it has, the more simple, or, like we say sometimes, the more boring a game is. the more simple and boring a game is, typically it's going to be lower in volatility. So it's very, very easy to tell just by looking at it. It does take some time too. I mean, it's not something that you will pick up, overnight or anything like that. It does take some time. But you will get used to it. And obviously, if you follow all of the teachings here on this channel and really know what to watch for, and again, this is a kind of an oldie but goodie. We have a whole playlist that is how to pick a slot machine playlist, and it's 7 episodes. They're short episodes, but if you watch all 7 of those episodes, then you will really, really have a good understanding and a good handling on it. We also do have an episode all about volatility for you guys to watch and enjoy as well. That teaches you guys all about what to look for in volatility in slot machines. So very good questions, guys. Thank you very much. And Mark, I will hand it off back to you.
Okay, and another feature actually of our forums I wanted to mention, one of our members, Proud Monkey, I don't know, I think I saw him in here earlier. He started a Google map where he is pinpointing where the low volatility machines are. He started in Las Vegas, but everybody can contribute to this map. I think this is a great idea. This is something the community can really do and get behind, where we will go out there and start scouting where these low volatility games are. So if you're not a member of the forum, I pinned it to the homepage so you guys can easily find it. I think this is a great start. We're going to have to do this with you guys. There's just two of us, and there's too many casinos and too many games to list. But this is a good way to try to get some of that social aspect going, so you guys can find where those low volatility games are. So thank you so much for doing that, Proud Monkey. I think this is going to be a big success once we get people started adding to it. So, all right, so let's get back. There was one question that I just saw come in, and it already scrolled past. Oh, there we go. Chris says, Mark, you said your favorite top dollar is 5-line, but now you just said single lines would be first. So what I'm talking about is the 5-line regular top dollar, not double top dollar. This is an older game. They do not have a current version out of that. It's the oldest one is, or the newest one is like 7 or 8 years old. Aria has a bunch of them. But anyway, look for the regular top dollar symbol and 5 pay lines on the screen. And that's how you know you got that one. The one that I was just talking about was the new double top dollar that has a 5-line version. That one is not the same. It's nowhere near it. So stick to that old one. So thank you so much, Chris. All right, I will rapid fire a couple here, Brantley, and let's get going with that. Deborah says, when you are picking a slot machine to play and looking at the pay table, is less symbols always better? Typically, yes. The smaller the pay table is, and the less amount of crazy multipliers it has, is a good way to tell that the volatility is lower. And Mike says, how is all the math? Oh, I already answered that one, so let's take all that out. And Lisa says, can you explain timing? I see other YouTubers stop the machine to change the timing. They don't know anything about the machine's timing, but what they're saying is mostly true, because you are changing the timing of when the random number generator is going to stop. But that's it. There's nothing that says you need to change the timing to get a better outcome. That's not, most of them do not say it for that reason. I'm not going to name any names, but a lot of the big channels out there say, I'm going to change my timing a little bit. That's perfectly fine. You know, it interrupts the cycle of you just hitting a spin and losing and losing and losing. You know, take a break, maybe do 3 credits and then pull the handle, slow down a little bit. But unfortunately, you can't change timing to your advantage. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, one more, Brantley, and I'll hand it over to you. LevZ Life says, man, every time when I'm down to my last $100, I go back to double diamonds and start at the 25-cent max bet, and I build back up. We've all been there. Look, the high volatility games are a lot of fun to play. Most of the most exciting games to play are the ones that are higher in volatility. But sometimes we have to go back to the basics to build up that bankroll to push our risk on those machines. We've all done that. This is what Brantley and I do constantly. You know, we'll put money in a mid to high volatility game and just not have any luck, and then we're like, I think I'll go back to double diamonds for a little while and build back up slowly, and then go push our luck again. It's perfectly natural. We do it. That's a good strategy. All right, back to you, Brantley.
Very good. All right. XDGen Gambler, is there a difference between a hand pay and a jackpot? Technically speaking, yes. A jackpot is $1,200 or greater. Anything that requires a tax form, that is a jackpot. A hand pay can be anything. If a machine, for example, if a machine loses connection to be able to validate tickets, you could have 1 cent in the machine and hit cash out, and it will trigger a hand pay, and they have to come and hand pay you. There's a lot. A hand pay can just be anything. Machines can be set at lower lockups. I've seen some casinos that'll set their limits at like $500 or $800 to trigger a hand pay, where the attendant has to come and hand pay you out and unlock the machine. But it's not a jackpot because it's not over the $1,200 tax threshold. So technically, yes, there is a difference in between those two terms. And Deborah Davis, is IGT the only manufacturer that makes Class 2 slot machines? No, there are quite a lot of different manufacturers out there that make Class 2 games. IGT does have a lot of them, though, and there are plenty of other great manufacturers out there that have a lot of those Class 2 games. And Question here from Mark. Does max bet increase your chances of a payout? No, it does not, unless this is the only time that there is an unless to this. There are some games out there. I think there is a version of Buffalo out there that will say if you bet max or if you bet more, you have an increased chance. Keep something in mind that that increased chance could only be a very small fraction of a percent. So don't get caught up in that. It doesn't mean your chances are exponentially better. It just means that you could potentially have a smaller, slighter, better chance by playing max bet. So it really depends on the game. Always make sure to read those game rules, guys. All right, and Mark, I'll hand it back to you.
Right on. All right. And Alf says, "Hey guys, why certain games I love playing are removed quickly and not put back in the casino? Boy, welcome to the club." Example in Foxwoods, Connecticut, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. So here's what I've learned over the decades of being in a casino. If the game is tied to any kind of theme, like a movie theme, a TV theme, a game show, anything like that, you can almost predict that it will not last more than a couple of years unless it's a big hit. Wheel of Fortune's a perfect example of this. Willy Wonka, these are games that they continue to make today because they are the big hits. The reason they don't stay around for very long is because it's expensive to hold the licenses to make those games. And so licenses fade or people lose interest. You know, they had a lot of the ones out there like The Hangover, Sex and the City, those kinds of games. People don't watch those as much as they used to, so they don't play them as much, so they get pulled out. It's just the way those games are done, and they are almost always leased, which means there is some kind of end date to those agreements, and the manufacturer pulls them back out of the casino. So it's an unfortunate side effect, especially with those games. It is what it is, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. All right, and Kathy says, "You two have made Plague my favorite slots no fun anymore, knowing about their volatility." Well, we don't want you to stop having fun, but we hope that you at least understand what's going on. That's what we're here for. We fully understand and respect people that still want to play the dragon games and play the high volatility games. Huff and more puff, you want to play it, go for it. We're not going to tell you no, that's the dumbest thing you can do, because it's not. It's just you should know what to expect. That's what we're teaching you, is to know what to expect when you sit down at those games. And so, yeah, knowing that, you may not have as much fun because you can't sit there and play as longer, but we're also saving you from dousing your bankroll in those games and not understanding why that happened. A lot of people do not understand that. They think it's because the casino is tightening all these games up, and that's why I'm not winning. All these games are just, they turn the switch and tighten the ball up. No, it's just a very volatile game. That game is built to act and behave that way regardless of payback percentage or what the casino sets it to. So sorry to ruin your fun, but at least you're educated now and you know what to expect going in whenever you do sit down and play those games. So thank you so much for your question, Kathy.
Very, very good. And also, guys, if you would, take a moment and be sure to like this video. And if you're watching this and you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe. If you're watching on your mobile app, all you have to do is scroll out of that live chat, and then you will have the option to hit that thumbs up button. We would greatly appreciate that. And also, don't forget to check out our store for lots of really fun swag. We are almost sold out of so much, guys, and we have brand new products that just came into the store. So check that out as well, and our website where you can ask your questions 24/7, 365, anytime, anywhere. And question here, actually, this is going back to the video poker that we were talking about. VP Free 2 is the website, gives you information on the best video poker casinos and best percentages in Vegas in each state. Thank you very much for adding that on. Really do appreciate that. All right. And are VGT red spins predetermined, or is each red spin a different bonus? So this is a good question. Again, you're playing the game of bingo. We cannot stress that enough. When you are playing these games with bingo cards on the machines, you are playing the game of bingo. There is a bingo game going on in the background. The slot machine is just there for visual. Now, if you are out there and if you have played the game of bingo before, I know myself, I love the game of bingo. I actually love to go to the bingo halls, and I will sit there and I will play bingo all day long. If you play bingo, you know that you have multiple cards. you have a lot of different cards for the same game. The red spins get triggered typically when you have multiple winnings on multiple cards or multiple winning patterns on multiple cards. And each of those spins, it goes in order of lowest to highest. That's why each spin it has to pay out higher than the last one. That's what triggers those red spins. It's not predetermined. It's just the fact that you've won on multiple bingo cards, and that's why it's been triggered. So I hope that helps to make sense. It's easier to explain to somebody that's played bingo before, because if you've actually played the game of bingo, you would know what I'm talking about. It would make a lot more sense, but I know it probably is confusing to people out there that have not played traditional bingo in the casinos. But that's exactly how those red spins work. Very good question.
Yep, and I did a follow-up video. I think it might come out on Tuesday, guys, where I really explain what the bingo card is doing, and I even show it as I'm spinning so you understand what is going on. So look for that video probably on Tuesday. All the questions you ever wanted to know about how those bingo cards are coming up and how are they matching, how are they paying out wins, all that kind of stuff, that's going to be featured in that video. I played a lot of Class 2 machines in that video too, so you'll be able to see kind of what's going on there. But anyway, let's see. We just kind of answered that one, so I'll take this one here. So Vicky says, I always get a kick out of someone talk about the casinos tightening the machines for weekends, holidays. Yeah, it's out there. People feel like that's the way, it makes business sense for a casino to do something like that. But it's just not necessary. Like, if you really understand how these slot machines work, it is not necessary. And it's very expensive. It's very time consuming. The one thing that I do want to say one thing. This is something that people always leave out when they're trying to explain technology to you about how these slot machines can be manipulated by the casino. Is it true that casinos can push changes to slot machines on their casino floor with these newer machines? Yes, but here's the part that nobody talks about, but it's 100% the truth. All they can do is push it to the machine, and it sits in a queue until a slot technician physically opens the machine, unlocks the CPU belly door, which requires a key that the Gaming Commission has. Most casinos do not have this key. Only the Gaming Commission does. So you have to open this door, and then after you open the door, you put a USB key in. Yeah, Brantley's got the E key there. Looks just like that. So you have to put that key in that secure USB port, and then you can go to a screen that says pending configurations. And inside of there, you will see the payload that has come from the server to say this is what the payback percentage needs to be changed to. You put the key in, you say accept change, and it changes it. And then it goes through a reseal process. We did a video where we actually filmed this entire process at the Shoshone Rose. If you're really interested, go look at that because it's really cool. But the other thing is that they reseal the machine, which means that the slot technician closes the belly door up of the actual CPU itself. And then the Gaming Commission puts security tape over that. All of these machines back here have the old security tape. That's how I usually know where these come from, because the security tape from the commission is still there. It's like void tape. If you've ever tried to open your PlayStation or something, you'll notice there's a void sticker that gets broken if you try to open the machine, and that's how they know you've tampered with it. Same thing goes on here. So even though that they have technology now that can push changes to these machines, they still have to be physically accepted by somebody at the machine, which means you can't be playing. Means there can't be credits on the machine, and it means that there has to be a technician there, and the Gaming Commission has to be either present, sitting down watching it, or with security in the security room watching this change being done. It's very important that you guys understand that. Nobody talks about that process. They leave that out. They just hear, oh, a server is controlling all the odds of the machines, and they leave it at that, and they don't understand that there's actually a lot more to it, that they just leave that part out. We know this is true because we have actually talked, and I have talked to slot managers at MGM Grand in Casino that are live working there now. These aren't just fictitious people that I'm making up. This is how they say it is done. So it's very important that you guys understand all those things are there for your protection. And because they have to go through all of that, they just don't do it because they don't need to. They know they put these machines in and they set it at a certain percentage, and they're going to make money on it by just leaving it there. They don't have to do anything to it. How easy is that? It's like putting an ATM in a gas station and getting $3 for every time somebody takes cash out of it. I mean, it's easy money. That's what slot machines are to casinos. They do not need to manipulate the payouts or anything like that, because even in the short term, they would not notice any kind of change. So yeah, whenever people say they're tightening or loosening at weekends, holidays, day after a big event, all that BS, it's BS. That's not what happens. I assure you. We've talked to the people in major casinos, and that's what they have told us. And they're not going to lie to us about it, because they're trying to get this information out. So anyway, sorry for that rant there, Brantley. I think it's important you guys understand, there's two sides of that process.
Very, very well said, Mark. And I will leave it at this. Guys, there are a lot of people out there that are trying to make money off of selling a pipe dream. We don't sell anything here on this channel because the truth is not available for sale. Period. Anybody can learn the truth. The thing that I would caution the most is, think of it like this. If you're going to go in and you're going to have heart surgery, and Mark knows this example that I'm going to use. If you're going to go in and you're going to have heart surgery, do you want to talk to the surgeon that's actually done it and is actually there doing it? Or are you going to talk to some random person that's like, well, I've seen it. I've heard about it, so I know everything about how it's done. Look at your sources. Always double check your sources, guys. Always double check your sources. If anybody's trying to sell, I can tell you this right now with 100% certainty. If anybody out there is trying to sell you anything, that is the biggest red flag right there. That is the biggest red flag right there. You cannot sell winning slot methods, period. It's not for sale. All right. And Mark, I think you got something that you were going to show us.
I was just, while you were talking, it's important that, Kevin Deal has his own slot machines too, and he's seen this. Every machine that I get in has this tape on it, red tape. Sometimes they put it over the chips themselves, but you can always kind of see the residue of that. And it's very difficult to remove on purpose. That's the reason they do it. They want to know that nobody has tampered with the chips or the programming of that machine since the last time they were there to witness the change. End of story. That's how it works. All right, and we're talking about Class 3 machines here. We're not talking about bingo or any of that, because those are server-based. They are bingo. You're playing bingo. That's different. That's completely different from what we're talking about here. But we're talking about the machines that you see all over Las Vegas, all over New Jersey. That's what we're talking about here, just to clarify that completely. All right. I guess, is it my turn? I lost count here. I'll take one here, Brantley. You can take this one. All right, Spin to Win says, how long did it take you to become a smart gambler? I'm finding myself learning each time I go. I'm always learning. Guys, it's a never-ending battle learning this stuff. We have evolved. I would say even since Brantley started this channel and I came on, I've evolved my strategies and how I deal with myself inside of a casino big time, because it helps to talk all of this stuff out and come up with ideas that make the most sense for you to practice. But it's never ending. Like, the casino industry is going to constantly change. There's going to be new game themes out there that might take different approaches to volatility or whatever the case is, bet sizes. And you got to learn. Like, you got to sit and watch. And let me tell you, the one way that I've become a really smart gambler, you guys are probably going to laugh at this, is I watch a lot of YouTube. Every day I search for slot machine posted today. And I go through and I see all the machines that have been posted today by all these YouTubers out there. And that is how I learned how every single game plays out in a casino and how I make a decision on what game I want to play. It's very useful information, guys. It really is. But Brantley, what about you? How would you answer this question?
I think the best thing to say is, as human beings, we are learning all the time. If anybody comes off and says, oh, yep, I'm smart, I know everything, I know that, then you really don't. As human beings, we are always learning, not just with gambling, but with everything in life. There's always room to grow. The most dangerous thing that anybody can do as a person in general is pretend that they know it all and that they're, nothing else can be learned, because learning is how we grow. So yes, learning is constant. Learning never stops. Learning absolutely never stops, guys. And really quick, we do have a super chat, $5 super chat here from 1967 Camaro versus the World. Thank you very much for that. What game has better odds for 25, 50, $100 denomination, pinball, or top dollar? What other high limit games do you play? Your channel is a blessing, Annie and Steve. Well, thank you very much, Annie and Steve. Which game has better odds? So this one I actually can answer. Top dollar has has a higher hit frequency of the bonus. So I think top dollar is a 1 in 42 mark for top dollar.
Gosh, it depends on what version.
Yeah,
it's double top dollar is 1 in 41.
And pinball is 1 in 64. So if we're talking about odd hit frequency of the bonus, top dollar is going to have a higher hit frequency. However, with that being in mind, it's not going to pay out as much as pinball. Pinball bonus is going to pay out higher. It's going to have a lower hit frequency but pay out higher. So there's a trade-off. What other high limit games do you like to play? For me, again, always triple stars. I would like this. Triple jackpot is a very, very good one. If you're in Las Vegas, go to Aria and play the triple jackpot machine. It's out on the main floor, but it goes from $5, $10, $25, $50 denomination. It's a really, really good machine to play. Love that one in the high limit. So thank you very much. Mark, did you want to add to anything like that?
Nope. Good to see you, Steve and Annie. I'm glad you guys are doing well. Thanks for your question. We appreciate it.
All right. I'll go ahead and I'll take one more here. Scott says Vegas Matt is fearless. I gotta say, because I do watch a lot of Mark was just saying, we watch a lot of YouTube. We do watch a lot of other channels, guys, and there's a lot of really, really great channels out there. But I will say, Vegas Matt is hilarious. He is very entertaining. He is a really, really entertaining guy. I absolutely love all of his stuff. I know how he refers to everything. I've
been liking him too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Vegas Matt is awesome. I love his channel. Love his stuff.
All right, and let's get back to some questions here. We'll do some rapid fire here. So Tell You 888 says for Caesar's Palace in Vegas, are machines class 2 or class 3? All class 3. All Las Vegas is class 3. So you don't have to worry about bingo or virtual lottery terminals, horse racing, none of that stuff applies to Las Vegas. So you're playing real slot machines there. And let's see. Marcus says, one question, once a slot machine is set on the floor, are there any periodic inspections to ensure the machine is operating with normal parameters, and whose does the inspection? Yes, so not necessarily the parameters, because it's very much a trust-based system, because the manufacturers ensure that when the machine leaves their manufacture that they're building, that whatever payback percentage the casino decides to set is going to be the result. That's pretty ironclad these days. That's what the par sheet is for. It's to basically prove that they have done this and they can ensure that this is going to be the performance of that machine. But what they do is they do random audits to make sure there wasn't any tampering of machines. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that tape that I was talking about before, the tamper-proof tape, to see if anybody has been in to the security settings or anything of the elevated security settings or configurations in the slot machines since the last time they were there. And if they see any kind of tamper, they will go back to the logs. And this is why casinos log everything. I mean, they write everything down. If the door is opened for half a second, they have to write down that they opened the door and who opened it, what time, how long it took, what was the purpose, all that kind of stuff. Because the Gaming Commission is going to want to know who was in there, why were they in there, what was the purpose. Because if that tamper-proof tape is ever unsealed, they want to know what happened, why was it, and there could be penalties there. And so that all of this stuff, guys, that we're talking about is for your protection. This is why these gaming commissions exist, is to protect you from the casinos being able to monkey with anything. I mean, we do not want to go back to the mob days when they could set payback percentages whenever they could put it at 40% if they wanted to. We don't want to go back to those days. We want the protections. That ensures that it's fair for you and everybody else. It doesn't matter who's playing, what time of day, all that stuff. It's about having a fair result. And a lot of people will say, yeah, slot machines fair. They're actually pretty fair. They're actually pretty fair when you think about it. A machine set at 90% means that the casino is only taking 10% of that. The 90% goes to the players. Now, it might not be you, but it might be somebody else, but it goes back to the players. That's pretty fair, in my opinion. I mean, people would not be going to these casinos if they never won. You got to think about that, right? People go because they won once and they want that feeling again. So, you know, that's how slot machines work. That's how they're going to work on any kind of regulated casino. And feel comfortable that those protections are in place, that they do inspections, they do random audits, and that's why they do it, to ensure it's fair for everybody, that nobody's monkeying with anything. Good question, Marcus. Thank you.
Very good. And thank you for the question, Marcus. Really do appreciate that. Valerie says, any travel plans outside of Vegas casinos? Yes, we do have some travel plans coming up. We will keep you guys posted. Actually, probably beginning of this upcoming week. We will probably be able to announce what casino we're going to be at next. And it's not in Nevada. It's not in Oklahoma, but it is on the West Coast. So if you guys are on the West Coast, be looking out for that announcement because we're coming out towards you. And we have a big special event that's going to be planned. We've been working on it for, actually, it's been like 2 months now that we've been working on this event. But it should be announced next week. So be watching for that. Yes, we do have a lot of travel plans coming up. And then Amelia asks, Brantley and Mark, do you think you can review that new no-tax slot machine? I really want to see how they work and where in Vegas has that. Would you know if the games are going to be available in Washington? So not going to be available in Washington. I can tell you that for sure. It is still a very, very new game. There are only a select few casinos that have this game right now. If I see one the next time I am at a casino, I will 100% play it for you guys, and I will be happy to do my review of it. It is based on a very low volatile game, or not very low, but on the lower end of volatility. So we can already say for a safe bet that it's a pretty good game to play, especially because of that added benefit of no tax jackpots. But 100% we will be happy to play that for you and give our full review of it. And I'm going to take one more, and then I'm going to hand it off to Mark from Evelyn here. Evelyn says, I used to be a slot attendant. If anyone alters the inside of the machines other than the text, the casino can lose their gaming license. 100% true. Guys, we cannot stress this enough. Casinos do not need to monkey with these machines. They do not. They make money over the long term. That is why they exist. They get programmed, they sit out on the floor, and they make money. It is a winning proposition for the casinos. It is a winning proposition for everybody involved. They don't need to monkey with the percentages. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter all of these rumors out there. Time of day does not matter, guys. It does not. How do I know that? Because I, myself, was the one that programmed those machines and put them on the floor. And it was me that was actually in there doing the changes and stuff like that. I can tell you, no, the casino does not change the odds for time of day, or whether the buffet is serving shrimp, or if it's a full moon, or if your sister's out dancing on the dance floor and the machine is looking at her. All of that is crap. So no, you are 100% correct, Evelyn, and thank you so much for backing that up. We really appreciate it.
All right. And Aces8 says, hey, sometimes when I'm playing my machine, it shuts down and goes into some kind of reboot, and then it fires back up again. What's that all about? That happens actually more frequently than you think. These are basically computers nowadays. Brantley's has done it to him several times. They're computers. If there's any kind of bug, or not bug, but if there's anything that is stopping it from doing its programming, it reboots itself. If it's overheating or something like that, it reboots itself. Actually, some games, although this will never happen when you have credits in it, actually go through a refresh cycle. I've seen it in the settings of these games where you can have it refresh itself at 2 in the morning. And when I say refresh, guys, here we go. When I say refresh, it does not mean it's changing the odds or anything like that. It is just rebooting itself. It's just making sure all the RAM is cleared and it's nice and, fast again. I've seen some machines slow to a crawl and they need to be rebooted. But when this happens, feel safe that that machine has recorded its previous state before it happens. These machines are constantly logging every single thing that is going on. And even if it were to lose power right in the middle of a bonus round, I assure you 100%, as soon as it reboots or power comes back available, it's going to resume right where it left off. Exactly. Because all that stuff is in there, built in there to be able to resume from any kind of event. Because that can happen. We've heard many stories. I was in Vegas once when the power went out on the casino floor. It happens. And these casinos make sure that these machines can properly restore their state, because otherwise, I mean, can you imagine? Yikes. But anyway, that it's pretty natural, aces, eights, that if it's happening all the time, it could be a problem with that machine that probably is being reported to the techs as a tilt that needs to be looked at. There's two kinds of tilts. If you ever wanted to know, there's a hard tilt and a soft tilt. Hard tilt locks the machine where a tech actually has to come and clear it. Like if it runs out of paper or the battery's low or something. And then there's a soft tilt, which allows the game to continue to run up to a point and then it's just going to restart itself. And so that's probably a soft tilt, which could happen again from overheating or, some kind of issue. Sound file couldn't be accessed, whatever the case is. But good question, Aces 8. Thanks so much.
Very good. All right. We do have a super chat here. Coming in, $20 super chat. Thank you very much for that. On a group of machines like Dragon Link that share the same grand jackpot, does the accounting balance of the payouts across the group of machines or only the individual machines? So, first of all, thank you very much for your super chat. I will try to explain this in two ways. So, each machine is going to have its own individual accounting. However, on linked progressives, there is a separate additional. Mark, I don't know. Do you still happen to have that progressive box near you?
Yeah.
Mark's going to grab this. It's going to be a progressive box. Now, this is going to be what actually the linked progressives share. So that is right there, a linked progressive box. So you've got the internal accounting, and then you also have the progressive accounting, which is on an external box as well. Thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate that super chat. And also, that's the best part about this channel is we get to actually show you guys this fun stuff. So thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate it. And I'll take this other question here. What is the payout odds of getting the pinball bonus via the third reel? I think I remember in a video saying 1 in 64. So it is 1 in 64, but always keep in mind that that is an average. Pinball can come much quicker than 1 in 64 spins. It can also go to 300 spins if it wanted to, and without a pinball. So always keep that in mind. And that is for the S3000 and S2000 version of Pinball. That is not for the new 9-line version of Pinball. That is different. But the odds of getting Pinball is about 1 in 64. That's the average. And again, I cannot stress that enough. It is an average, meaning it's not required to happen within 64 spins. You can go a lot longer than 64 spins without getting Pinball. Very good question, guys. Thank you.
That's right. All right. And what was I going to take? I was going to take this one. So Gary's of Interest says, hey guys, last week on Sunday and today at Hard Rock Tampa Casino, I had 2 bonus games each time and walked away both times with 1,200 and 1,500 winnings. I told myself to go at a certain time. Oh no, don't do that. You're looking for patterns that don't exist. It's called what is it called? The gambler's fallacy. Guys, you just can't look for stuff like that because they don't exist. And I know there are people out there that say that that's BS. You can absolutely tell patterns and stuff. But if you knew how slot machines work, you know that there are no perceptible patterns that you can look for. And if you want to go at the same time, go for it. But don't go with the same expectation that you're always going to hit 1,200 and 1,500 at that time of day. It could, but it could also not. Just as equal. So, and I'll take one more real quick here. Kathy actually has a really good statement here. People want to believe anything that will give them a perceived heads up on a slot. They refuse to believe the truth that feeds the casino. That's absolutely true. That is what we're trying to change. And it is an uphill battle. I mean, Brantley and I I gotta be honest. We get exhausted sometimes because it's very difficult to work against all of these myths and stuff that have been perpetuated for so long. And even on top of all of that, and us talking to industry experts, and we have some exciting stuff coming later about that. But the thing is that people will always try to explain the unexplainable. It's human nature. That's what we do, right? Like, we try to explain why it is that flipping a coin is always 50-50. Like, there has to be a reason that it's 50% heads and 50% tails. Well, the reason is because it has to be one or the other. And so that's the pattern. But people try to see things inside of slot machines, and it's not possible. If you knew how these things actually played out and the math behind them and the par sheets, and you really dug into it, and guys, we are not hiding anything here. If you just do your own research, go out there and look for how a par sheet works or how a slot machine actually works. And look for those key words. Here's a par sheet. Here's the math. All that type of stuff. That's what you need to look for. Don't look for a site where it's saying, pay me $100 and I'll tell you. That's not the right site to go to. Go to the sites that have mathematicians explaining how this stuff actually works, and you will learn. We're just trying to do it in a way that it's easily digestible by you guys, because it is a lot of math. It is a lot of brain twisters. I'm trying to figure out how this stuff works. But at the end of the day, we just want you guys to be open to this stuff. And I think you'll start to find out that it's more random than you really think it is. And I don't blame you guys. I don't blame you guys at all, because it's human nature. It's just human nature. It's fighting you. Anyway, sorry for the rant, but that was really good, Kathy. I appreciate you pulling that up, because it's absolutely the truth. It's absolutely the truth.
Very good. And thank you very much, Mark, for that. Really do great, wonderful example. We do have a couple of super chats coming in. One from Sandy, $5 super chat. Sandy, thank you very much. Sandy asks, when it comes to the RNG, what happens when you stop the reels? Absolutely nothing. That spin has already been determined the second those reels start rolling. So you can stop it. You can stop it early. It's not going to affect the outcome of the game whatsoever. Thank you very much for that super chat. And a $10 super chat from Sue. Sue, thank you very much. Hey, Brantley and Mark, what does the RNG and what it picks from look like inside the slot machine? Thanks, guys. So again, the RNG is just the computer. It's just the computer program, and Mark's got a great video about exactly how it works. Here's the link. We're going to put it up on the screen. ropethejackpot.com/how slots work. That video is tremendous. Mark did a wonderful job on it. So go check out that video. We really do appreciate it. We just had another super chat come in from Kevin Deal, $10 super chat from Kevin. Kevin, thank you very much. You guys tell it like it is. Thank you. You are 100% correct, Kevin. And here's the thing. We have worked there. We know all of this. We know exactly how these machines work. We know exactly how they play out. We keep very current on it. We go to all the expos. We talk to experts on a regular basis. Guys, this is just how it works. We're not going to charge you to tell you. It's just how it works. We're here to educate you guys on the truth on how it actually works. That's it. And whether people want to believe it or not is perfectly okay with us. If you don't want to believe us, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to. We're not here to sell you anything, so it really doesn't matter. If you guys don't want to believe it, that's all on you. You're going to have a bad time at the casino, but that's on you. So, but anyway, thank you guys very much for that. We really do appreciate it. All right. And, I'll go ahead. I'll let you take a question there, Mark, and then
okay. Sounds good. And Brian says, just subscribed, like the content. Do you guys ever see them raising the jackpot threshold? Well, they can, but they cannot do it while it is active, if that makes sense. So if there is a progressive that is currently active, they cannot change any of the settings with that progressive. The contribution amount or the max hit amount or anything like that, they cannot change it once it has started. Now, there are some settings in these slot machines that can say, once it gets hit, lock the machine up, so it gives them the chance to make a change, but this is very rare. And the thing that you got to remember, again, is that they cannot do it while there is an active progressive. There is just, Even if you have the security key and you go in there, it's all grayed out. There is no way to make any changes to the progressive. So don't worry about that part. But good question, and thank you for subscribing. We hope you like the content.
All right. Rhyme Time UK says he thinks might be talking about the IRS threshold.
I
You know,
gotcha.
the IRS threshold. That's the thing, guys. You know, that is out of the casino's hand. The casino's hands are tied on that. That is all based on the government. Whatever government is in office at the time on the federal level is going to determine how much you get taxed or not. So, that I'm going to leave it at that. It's probably going to stay at 1,200. I'm actually surprised they didn't lower it to 600,
Right.
but we will see. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but maybe in the next, 8 years or so, it might happen. So we'll have to just see. It all depends. All right. And let's see. Bob, it says, do your odds change when you are playing on free money? No, they do not. The odds don't change. The odds do not change with free play or anything like that. The only time with free play is really different is it depends on what kind of system they are using for free play, just how it gets accounted on the back end. But that has nothing to do with your play session or your RNG or anything like that. So the odds on that are going to be exactly the same. So very good question.
All right, and Ace Eights has another question. Is it true as long as you have your card in the machine, they can't change the odds? Well, it's actually about credits. Not the card makes no difference. But if there are credits in the machine, they cannot change the odds. But like we just talked about 15, 20 minutes ago, if you need to go back, it's a big process to change the odds. They can't just do it remotely while you're sitting there waiting for you to put cash in. It's a process. They have to have a technician come and accept the change, things like that. So don't worry so much about them changing the odds. They just don't change it. I mean, the slot manager that I was talking to at MGM Grand, I asked him about those Cherries Jubilees that they see out there. I said, when's the last time those payback percentages are changed? He's like, 22 years ago when they put them in. They don't need to change them. They expect it. They expect what's going to happen. It's just the way those are built. So try not to get so focused on that because they're not doing it. They're just not doing it. Some casinos might change it like every 6 months or a year or whatever, but it's a process. And that's the important thing that you got to understand. It's not something that they do just ad hoc whenever they feel like it because you've been winning too much. They need to tighten it up so you start losing. That's not what's going on. And then also shout out to a new member, Bella. Thank you so much for joining.
Welcome.
Really appreciate it. And hope to see you on Member Mondays. I think we'll have one tomorrow, so we'll hope to see you there. Thank you, Bella.
All right. And Aces 8, Aces 8s. I'm not sure if you are just now joining the chat, but we did address this about 20 minutes or so ago in the live stream. Mark talked about that about 20 minutes or so ago. And again, with that, I think you're wrong, but I'll respect your answer. You can think we're wrong all day long. We really don't care because this is the truth. This is how it works. This is the truth. So whether you want to believe it or not is 100% on you. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to. We're not trying to sell you anything. If you don't want to believe us, that's fine. You don't have to. So,
yeah, we just can't help you. I mean,
we can't help you.
This is what we do. This is why we don't charge for this stuff. We're not trying to start a movement. We're not trying to game the system or anything like that. We're just two honest guys trying to get this information out to people. And yeah, definitely go back and watch my answer 25 minutes ago, because what you're saying is what people have said for many, many, many years. But there's another side to that they don't talk about, which is what happens after they push the change. That is the super important part. So go back and watch that. All right. Brian Reed says, do you guys think the Cherries Jubilee is the easiest slot machine to hit in Vegas? I've hit it 2 to 3 trips. Yeah, I think it actually is. Of all the ones in Vegas to play, if you're on a low budget or you just want to have some fun and hit a hand pay, those are the ones to go play. I mean, we had a meet up there, and I can't tell you how many. I think there was probably 10 or 12 that night within a span of an hour or two where people were getting the hand pays. There was this one lady there that hit it like 5 times. It was just ridiculous. But those are a lot of fun. Those are pretty low, about as low in volatility as you could possibly get. And they're fun to get a hand pay on because you don't have to pay taxes. They're all under $1,200, but they still pay out by hand, which is really cool. It's a fun experience. All right, back to you,
Very
Bradley.
good. All right. Kay has a good question. Are Indian casinos under the same rules and regulations for compliance? They actually have a lot more rules and regulations. Again, because the Indian tribal casinos, they have several different layers. So again, and I kind of explained this in a while back on I believe TikTok. So if you wanted to open up a casino in Nevada, if you've got the money and you've got a building and an establishment and all of that, you can open up your own casino in the state of Nevada. All you got to do is fill out the application, and congratulations, you've got your casino. However, with an Indian tribe, with tribal gaming, they have to go through the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, which is on the federal level. Then they have to have a compact with the state. So then they have to work through the state level. Then they have to establish their own regulatory agencies that are required under the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. Tribal casinos have a lot more regulations and they are a lot more heavily watched than non-tribal casinos are. So they actually do have a lot more regulations than people think they do. They're much more heavily regulated. But very good question.
All right, let's see. Jason says, what is your favorite new style game to play? I love the older 3 reels, but the new video games are so fun to play. So which should I play? Thanks for everything. Hashtag. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you, Jason. I'm the same way. I think some of the newer ones are a lot of fun. Look, I think Huff and More Puff is a fun game to play. I think it's fun. The bonus is exciting, but it's not one that I would play to try to build any kind of bankroll or anything like that because I know what to expect from that stupid game. I'm going to say it. It's just a difficult game to hit on. So, but it's fun. That's the trade-off sometimes. But that's what we do. Like we build up on the games that are boring or maybe lower in volatility, and then we go push our luck on those, the ones that are fun that everybody's playing. Want to see what the bonus is like. So, that's how I approach it. So, we're right with you, Jason. Absolutely.
Very good. All right, got another question here from Massachusetts. You know what? I've been seeing a lot of ads for mobile sports betting, FanDuel, DraftKings, etc. Sports betting has really taken off like crazy. There are a lot of states that sports betting is coming to. It does work completely different than online casinos do. Our biggest recommendation is if you are going to do online sports betting, if it's just now coming to your state, is to always make sure that you go with a name brand that you know and trust. You want to go with something like Caesars, MGM, FanDuel, DraftKings. Those are all name brands that are based here. As with any kind of online gaming, always, before you give any kind of money out, before you try to play any game online, do your research to find out what that company is all about. There are a lot of websites out there, guys, that go under the guise of trying to, come off like an online casino, but they either do something with sweepstakes or something like that. Don't get involved in anything like that. So stick with one of those major name brands, and DraftKings and FanDuel, those are good brands to stick with. So best of luck to you.
All right, and Chris has a good question. How can you tell if a game is an S2000 or S3000? So I can actually just show you here. This is what an S3000 looks like, and the way you can really tell is the lights on the top surround like that. That's probably the easiest way to tell. Usually the pull handle has a nice little LED bulb on it. This is an S2000 right here. Yeah, Brantley's got one there too. And this is an S2000 over here, so you can tell it looks much older than this. These are really bright, so that's how you can tell the difference there. But yeah, good question. And Jason says, do you guys ever play slots online, or is it a complete ripoff? Are online slots regulated like land-based? A lot of them aren't. In fact, the majority of them aren't. We both recommend not playing online slots or online casinos, but if you have to, make sure you do it from a licensed property like BetMGM or Caesars Online, FanDuel, those kinds of places. And you have to be in a state that you have to reside in the state that allows that. Then you have some protections that they are still regulated. But guys, they are not like real slot machines. They're video representations of it. So you got to be really careful with those. And we typically just don't recommend it. But we understand that some people just don't live in an area where there's any casino close by. Just try to fight the urge to do it if you can. Because usually if you don't have a casino nearby, then your state doesn't allow online gambling anyway, and you're probably looking at ones like Chumba or Lucky Land slots. Those are not casinos. They're sweepstakes, and it's a lot different. Lots of different rules, and no, they are not regulated the same at all. In fact, your regulation protections are very minimal with those sites. So we tend to recommend you stay away from them if you can.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we are at 1 hour and 30 minutes. We do have a $1.99 super chat here from VW Geek. Thank you very much for that. Are cruise ship slots different than Vegas slots? They are regulated differently, yes, but they are still going to be class 3 slot machines. They're, again, use volatility because volatility doesn't change regardless of what the payback percentage is. But regulation wise, yes, they are going to be different. Cruise ships are regulated. They are regulated under the nation in which the ship is flagged out of, not the corporation where the individual ship is flagged out of. So we always use the example of Carnival, for example. Carnival is obviously their headquarters is in Miami, but they register their ships out of the nation of Panama. So their regulations are going to be Panama's responsibility, not the U.S. So that's kind of how cruise ships are different when it comes to regulations. Really quick, guys, if we did not get to your question tonight, we really do apologize. It's just the sheer volume of people that participate in these shows. You can always ask your questions online on our website 24/7, and you can talk to locals in your area. It's 100% free. How cool is that? You can ask people about different casinos in your area. So much more on that website. It is a lot of fun. As a reminder, also, we have new products in our store. We have these little stress hats, which are really, really cool and say Cowboy Slots on them. Great for if you want to play those high volatile games. And our poker chips, which the purple and green are almost sold out. So be sure to head over and get those. We are at 1 hour and 30 minutes, guys. That is going to conclude our Sunday Slots 101 show. We would like to thank you all so much for joining us today. Member Monday is going to be tomorrow. All of our live streams start at 7 p.m. Central Time. So Member Monday is going to be tomorrow. And then our next live stream will take place on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central for our Slots Advanced show. As always, guys, thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate each and every one of you, including all of our moderators, Tammy, Susan, and Dave. We thank you guys very much. Best of luck to you. As always, stay safe, and we'll see you again next episode. Take care, guys.
All right.